least favorite getting to know you questions is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I hate that question. It's always seemed somewhat unnerving to me particularly because as far back as I can recall, I never had a clear view of my future self. And the self that was already assumed for me, the self that everyone anticipated for me, just didn't make sense to me. So how could I possibly know where I was going to be in 5 years if I didn't know who I was going to be in 5 years? Well, they say that the body is reborn every 7 years. That is, theoretically, every cell in the human body is regenerated within a 7-year cycle. I like this idea. The idea that you start fresh, figuratively and literally, from the very molecular structures that make up and comprise us, to the identities that we carry that identify us and define us. For me, the 7-year cycle is particularly interesting. Consider the following. At age 7, I was just a little girl growing up in Texas. Precocious and outspoken, I was a happy daughter of a happy couple. I was the adoring sister of a wonderful big brother. And at my 5-year plan, if someone had to ask me, would be that I wanted to be the best brown noser my teachers had ever known. 7 years later, at age 14, my brother had died of leukemia, and my parents' marriage was falling apart. It was that year that I really started grieving for my brother, and I started to explore who it was that I would be without him in my life. It was also that year that I had my first crush on a girl, another girl. I also started sending away for college brochures out of state. My 5-year plan at that time was to get as far away from Texas as possible. At age 21, 7 years later, I had escaped Texas only to discover my transgender identity in liberal Massachusetts. I moved to Ohio to begin a physical transition. It was that year, at age 21, that I left my womanhood behind with menopause and hot flashes and all. I started my manhood with puberty, with acne and all. And I finally became old enough to drink. It was a very confusing time, both for me and for the bartenders. My 5-year plan at that time was to become a man, whatever the cost. Now, at age 25, halfway between cycles of rebirth, I'm happy to realize that I have to date accomplished almost all of my previous life 5-year plan objectives. However, my next 5-year plan will be markedly different from any of them prior to now, and that is because of what I've gained in participation with this program. I'll be honest with you. I initially applied for this to cure my post-graduation blues. With my very marketable philosophy degree fresh in hand, I saw an opportunity to better understand the workings of the nonprofit world in which I dabbled, and perhaps to get some direction with my otherwise very overwhelmingly undecided future. What I did not know is that I would be more impacted by the people and by the process than by the material that we covered. I did not know that our very first experience together, the retreat with Project Diversity, would expose me to such touching lives, stories, and passions of so many incredible people. It immediately set a tone of trust and intimacy I had not anticipated. I did not know that every session I would learn more about the art of diplomacy, the value of showing and receiving professional respect, and the reward of genuinely listening and genuinely being heard, than about the nitty-gritty of board management. I did not know that I would learn about so many faces of leadership. My preconception of what makes a leader, the qualities that they must or must not have, has changed due to the wealth of characteristics that I had discovered with my fellow participants. Your strengths, my friends, have made me stronger through our association. With you, I have experienced a new transition, and this time it's one of character. With you, I learned to speak up and speak out, and so now, at age 25, halfway between the rebirth cycle, I have truly acquired a better understanding of who it is that I am, what it is that I am capable of, and therefore I can, for the first time, try to project and envision who it is I'm going to be. My 5-year plan now is a little more concrete and more meaningful this time. I will probably still continue to be a brown noser because I'm kind of good at it. I've had a lot of practice. I will not forget your stories, your struggles, or your passions. I will honor the lessons that you have bestowed on me, whether or not you are aware that you have taught them. And I will use every tool that I gained from this program to build stronger connections in our greater community, to bridge the gaps between our understandings of one another, and to make a unified voices stronger, more powerful, and more victorious. Thank you for letting me have this opportunity to grow with you. It's been an incredible pleasure.